Dark Dove back with you on a wonderful sunny summer's day. Um, it's Sunday the 24th of July. I'm not going to throw up this video today. I'll possibly throw it up at the end of the week or possibly next weekend. But my plan is to shoot two separate videos. I've made some interesting charity shop, both vinyl and CD finds. I've made a nice haul of CDs at a flea market as well. Some interesting and rare stuff which I'm dying to show, but I'm actually gonna keep that stuff separate and hopefully show that stuff all in the next video, because I don't want it to run too long because I've got quite a bit of stuff to show here now. Mixture of a few Discogs finds, or well, finds, Discogs purchases, and some nice stuff which I managed to pick up as a result of my local independent record store having a sale, 25% off sale, which enabled me to grab some stuff which I'd had my eye on, plus some other random finds. But I'm going to start off with some very nice Discogs purchases. As I stated in one of my recent videos, I'm not buying so much stuff on Discogs these days unless I happen to. I have a few things up for sale, and all three of these purchases are the result of I've sold some stuff and used the money to purchase stuff which I was on the lookout for. Now, all three of these are actually from the same seller, whom I came across quite randomly. Okay. I think many of us in the VC have to thank Derek Higgins for exposing the wider VC to the work of Dave Stewart, not Dave Stewart from the Eurythmics, but Dave Stewart of the band Egg, leading figure in the progressive rock subgenre of Canterbury, the Canterbury scene, so-called because of its many of its members links with the English city of Canterbury. Now, Dave Stewart, he was in the band Egg, also in the bands of Gilgamesh, Hatfield and the North, and the following band, National Health. Yeah, this is a band, of course, who I think I only became aware of these through Derek's videos, maybe not too long ago, I would say, but I picked up the Rotters Club by Hatfield and the North at a record store at a record fair not too long ago, and I've been eager to further explore the various offshoots of these Canterbury bands. So I came across a seller here in Ireland, who had now not one but two copies of their debut album and three copies of one of the albums that I'm going to show here. Also, he also had their second album of, what's it called, of Coughs and Cues, I think it's called. I put all these in my whatever you call it, your store or whatever you call it, and unfortunately that album, somebody else grabbed it. It went, but I did sell an item online, and that enabled me then to purchase these two albums which I'm going to show you. So that is a self-titled debut album by National Health. So Dave Stewart also Alan Gowan, who's made a major contribution to this band. This is a pretty late period Canterbury. It's pretty much at the tail end of released in 1977. Was it either 77 or 78 on Affinity Records, and it was 1977. So released pretty much, at the height of the punk movement. So out of kilter with the popular taste, or with kind of with the zeitgeist of that particular year, but this is a fantastic slice of mainly instrumental, and there are vocals, there are harmony, female vocals, Amanda Parsons. There's quite a lineup really on this album. So as I said, released in 1977, self-titled debut from National Health, and it as I said, late, pretty much, the late flowering in the Canterbury in that Canterbury influenced sub genre of progressive rock. So there's a heavy kind of a fusion influence in there as well, and basically, if you're familiar with Hatfield in the North, Gilgamesh, I think quite a few people in BC have this. I know Derek has all their those National Health and related groups. Now, as I said, I didn't manage to snag the second album because unfortunately it went, but I did get this is a third album, which came out, which is quite belated. It came out in 1982, recorded in 1981. Now, unfortunately, Alan Gowan, who was one of the leading members of National Health, died in 1981 of leukemia. This is that's him on the cover. Very, very interesting image. I thought at first it was a painting, but it is a photograph. It's kind of copying that Renaissance style. But anyway, this was a tribute album which was recorded and released in 1982 by the remaining members after his death, comprising of material which he'd written, which had been previously unrecorded. Now there is a bit of an early 80s feel to this particular album. There's a heavy use on some tracks of synthetic drums, but still, just that's overlooking that slight niggle. It is a very strong album indeed. So Dave Stewart involved in this again. This is released on an unusual enough label which I haven't never come across before. Lounging Records. There you go. And it comes with this really interesting insert as well. This insert, which catalogues pretty much every single band and that Alan Gowan was involved in. So it's it's kind of more of a it's more kind of a musical history really. So so it's pretty extensive there. But all three of these are in fantastic condition, and I got all three of them for a really nice price. The seller actually completely under rated the condition, because this one he had described as G plus, on account of there is one mark on the side too, but really this is a strong VG as far as I'm concerned. But I got it for €8, just slightly over $8, which is a fantastic price really. And this as well I got for a really good price, and because the seller was based here in Ireland, the postage was very cheap as well. So now I did get one other item from the same seller. Now this was a little bit afterwards, because I did sell another item. I did sell another record which I'd been looking to sell for ages, and I was looking through his other items he had for sale, and I came across something which I wasn't familiar with this album, but I thought it looked really interesting, and I had to listen to it online, liked it, but still a bit of a Canterbury link with this, because it includes Hugh Hopper, who used to play bass with Soft Machine. So Hugh Hopper and sorry, the other Hugh Hopper, Keith Tippett, and Dean and Gallivan. Sorry, excuse me for not being able to kind of recall their full names, but oh yeah, Hugh Hopper, of course, on bass, Elton Dean on saxophone, Keith Tippett on piano, and Joe Gallivan on drums and synthesizer. So so Hopper, Dean, Tippett, Gallivan, and the name of the album was Cruel But Fair. This was released in '77. Now this is more of a free jazz, free improvisation related album than the previous two, but there is, with the inclusion of Hugh Hopper, there is something of that Canterbury influence running through it. Released on a Norwegian or Danish, I think it's Norwegian label called Compendium. Very nice label there. Absolutely fantastic condition, and I've got this for a really nice price as well. So there's a nice bit of Moog synthesizer running through this. It's entirely instrumental, there's no vocals on it. So if you can kind of imagine a free jazz, kind of proggy free jazz, kind of with a bit of that Canterbury influence running through it as well. And I absolutely love that artwork, by the way. I've no idea what it's. I mean, I know this is some sort of looks like some sort of Eastern, perhaps Japanese vision of hell, but I have no idea what these figures here are supposed to represent. All very mysterious, but lovely album. I highly recommend it for anyone who is into that kind of fusion free jazz. And So moving on, there are the three Discogs purchases. Okay, so as I said, my local record store last week, or well, I suppose nearly 2 weeks ago now, it did run a 25% off sale on all new CDs and vinyl. I made a couple of, I didn't get all these purchases all at the same time, but three different trips. Went there on the first day and made absolutely sure that I grabbed this first one because I had been meaning to grab this. And that is the new album by PJ Harvey, the Hope 6 Demolition project. Don't have much. I don't have much PJ or Polygene on vinyl, so I have pretty much almost everything I have by her is on CD. So yeah, so the follow-up to Let England Shake, which was, in my opinion, one of the best albums of the turn of this decade. So yeah, this was an album that was a few years in the making. Involved visiting places as diverse as Kosovo, Afghanistan, plus the housing project in Washington DC, which the title refers to. As with Let England Shake, this is. I mean, it's very hard to follow up an album as good as Let England Shake. Now, it's not quite as good as that, but it's a very worthy follow up. I think it's certainly an album that makes you think, and by the way, it comes with this absolutely enormous poster. I don't know if I'll be able to show it properly here, but I will attempt to. Yep. So, absolutely stunning looking woman. By the way, she's. I'm not sure how old. I think she's in her late 40s now, but what can I say? Okay, so that is very, very glad to get that at a discount at 25% off. So because I had been intending to grab it. So on the same day as I grabbed that, I also made the following pick-up, which I will show you now. This is a band who initially, I know they've been around for a while, but so many bands that have flown under my radar, and that through the VC, have been brought to my attention, and that is the following group, and that is Om. Now, really only become aware of Om in the last few years. I know they've been around for approximately a decade or more. They have quite a few albums out, but this is my very first pickup by them. Now, this is a reissue of an album that came out in 2007, so, well, almost a decade ago now. It's called Pilgrimage. For those not familiar with them, Om are founded by members of Sleep. Sleep, who released the seminal album Dope Smoker, which I think came out in the mid-90s or thereabouts. They have a kind of a strong... Okay, basically, how can you describe them? Drone rock, drone rock with a kind of a spiritual. If you can consider the likes of, say, John Coltrane or as kind of spiritual jazz, this in a way is kind of spiritual drone, for want of a better word. They are heavily influenced by things like Eastern Buddhism and Eastern Orthodox Christianity. There's a strong use of kind of chanting vocals, and there is a kind of, yeah, and you do get this kind of kind of hypnotic effect. Now, my only quibble about this album is its length. It's only about half an hour long. You do kind of feel, when it finishes, you do kind of feel that wish that perhaps it had been a bit longer, but I'm definitely going to try and grab some more by Ohm, because it's now whetted my appetite to check it, because they have quite a few, they've quite an extensive enough discography at this stage, so we'll be checking their back catalogue out further. This is another one which I had my eye on for quite a while. It's actually released about 2 years ago, I think, 2014. But Patrick Cowley, those of you who might not, I don't know, for those of you who aren't familiar with Patrick Cowley, he was a seminal figure in the early electronic development of electronic dance music in America. Kind of emerged from the disco scene, kind of strongly influenced by likes of Giorgio Moroder. But this was a collaborative. Well, it's basically, this consists of material which he recorded with this guy Jorge Socaras in the mid 70s, between 1975 to 1977. It's called Catholic. Basically, it was due to be released in the late 70s and then was shelved. So Jorge Socaras, okay, basically I should backtrack a bit. Patrick Cowley, he died in 1982 temporarily. I'm saying temporarily. Died in 1982. He was one of the very earliest known victims in the United States of AIDS. Taken at an early age. So basically, just a very promising career was cut short, and to put it mildly. But Jorge Socaras, then he had the master tapes for this material, and ended up rediscovering them basically just a few years ago. So this has now been released for the first time. Well, it actually came out about 2 years ago, but released for the first time on vinyl. Now, this is very different from the kind of stuff that Patrick Cowley would become known for later on in late 70s, early 80s. This material is very heavily influenced by the likes of Suicide, who sadly Alan Vega passed away there the other day. But there's elements of Suicide, elements of say early electronic kind of post-punk influenced acts like early Human League, kind of early kind of early synth pop, even though this material predates the synth pop movement by quite a few years. So it's a double album, and comes with an interesting interesting picture insert. But if you're a fan of early late 70s, early 80s electronic music, this is one well worth checking out. Oh, sorry, I actually forgot to include. I picked up this with the first two items I showed, with the PJ Harvey and the I got this on the same day. This is Pharoah Sanders' Thembi. Pharoah Sanders, yeah, all I have by him other than this is Elevation, which I also have on CD. He's someone I've been meaning to explore further. They did have some of his vinyl, some re-releases on vinyl of some of Karma, for instance, also this one, but I'm not familiar with those Back to Black reissues, so I am looking to further explore Pharoah Sanders, but I thought it would be best to grab this. Seeing as it was 25% off anyway, so this is a new CD, so it was, I did get 25% off it. So so this album, it was recorded it came out in '71 on Impulse. It was a result of two separate recording sessions, which kind of explains why it does sound slightly disjointed, but I thoroughly enjoyed this, and I'm going to try and further build on my collection. But I am aware that originals are extremely expensive, so on vinyl. So okay, moving on. The last item, which I got as part of that sale, is another band whom I previously didn't have anything by, so I've been looking to explore their discography somewhat further, and another band whom originals of their albums are extremely expensive. So conveniently, I managed to grab this reissue again for 25% off. This is Broadcast. This is on the Warp label. Broadcast, a band who are still going. Now, this was released in 2000. Now, their lead singer, Trish Keenan, who features on this album, sadly passed away I think it was like 2 or 3 years ago, of pneumonia, only at the age of 42. This came out in 2000s. Now, Broadcast are quite similar in ways to could be compared to Portishead, with perhaps elements of oh god, but Stereolab, I was trying to think of their name. Yes, kind of Stereolab meets Portishead, with this kind of dark, kind of retro 60s kind of vibe. Love this album. This is a fantastic reissue, and it's called The Noise Made by People. Originally released in 2000, and this is a recent reissue. So, big fan of the Warp label. you know, in my opinion, if you're a fan of, you know, kind of contemporary electronica, or kind of relatively, you know, it's really, you know, you can't go wrong with Warp. We'll be showing something else on the Warp label just in a second, but okay, so I'll finish off with three kind of random pickups which I've made in various second-hand shops. This is again another long time want list item. Talking Heads. The name of this band is Talking Heads, and that is the name of the album. This is a live album which came out in 1982. Double album, side one, documenting 1977 to 79, and side two, documenting 1980 to 81. And I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with this album, but I think the only one that I'm missing, the only major want list item at this stage, I think, is Speaking in Tongues. I have pretty much everything else, so we'll be on the lookout for that one. Thrift, charity shop, whatever you want to call it, find Daft Punk One More Time. Don't really need to say anything about this single. Came out in, it came out around 2000, I think. Yeah, so single-sided 12-inch. It's a little bit, has been played, I think this is an ex-DJ copy, so it's been played quite a bit, but I just grabbed it because no, couldn't leave that behind. I'll finish up with an original release on the Warp label. Warp label, founded in 1989 in Sheffield. Don't have a lot of original or very early Warp releases, so this is actually the very earliest item that I found on the Warp label. This came out in 1990. This is a 12-inch called Sweet Exorcist. It's actually remixes of an actual separate of a single which was released separately from this. So this is a remix of a previous single release. So this was actually released. Sweet Exorcist basically consisted of Richard K. Kirk of Cabaret Voltaire, legendary Sheffield electronic pioneers, plus a guy called DJ Parrott, whom I have to admit I don't know too much about him, but very nice. I picked this up for a £5. Very nice to pick up. I don't have any of these original Warp 12 inches prior to this. They all came in this purple sleeves. I love that Warp logo. So yeah, this is a nice piece of early kind of spiky techno, kind of similar to what Cabaret Voltaire were doing at the time. So very pleased with that. Nearly always grab anything on the Warp label, with the possible exception of oh god, hell with it. Okay, so that's it. I will be doing another video to show my other finds, my kind of thrift shop finds. So keep an eye out for that. So enjoy what's left of the week. But actually, weekend will be over by the time you see this. So thanks for watching.